stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Jacalyn. Take charge of your life personally, financially, and professionally. Visit drjacalyn.com to book an appointment today.
Hello and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, live here on Business Talk Radio, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. Our show is about hope, inspiration, and stories of overcoming adversity. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I'm so thrilled to have my guest here with me today. She has accomplished so much. Her name is Robyn Graham. Let's welcome her to the program. Hi, Robyn. It's nice to see you.
Hi, it's nice to see you too. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And before we get started, I just wanted to let our audience know that they can call in with any questions for you today, which would be terrific. And let's share that number. It's 631-730-5468. That's the number for Business Talk Radio. So go ahead and give a call. The other thing is, if you're watching on Facebook, we love to hear from you. So please feel free to put some comments onto our pages and I will reach out to you. Robyn is a certified brand specialist. She's a personal branding coach, and she's also host of the Second Phase podcast. She's an expert with headshots, and she is a brand photographer. Welcome so much again, Robyn. I can't wait to hear how you decided to go on this journey where you're really helping brand a person and give them maybe a whole new identity. What was that like for you? Robyn, we must have some delay with Robyn. There she is.
I'm here, but I'm hearing everything twice.
So Robyn, how did you decide to be in the career path that you're on now?
I'm hearing everything twice. Like I'm hearing you in a delay.
Well, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back and see if we can figure this out.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Have you ever tried to build people into a team? Maybe you've tried bowling, or ziplining, or paintball, or pizza making. These events can be fun, and they can make everybody happy for a while. But in the long run, do they really turn people into a team? Now, imagine the members of your team scattered all over the world, working from trains and airplanes, from remote offices, client locations, or working from home. How do you build a winning team when your playing field might be the entire world? With BCAT, we've created the answer. Working completely online, no matter where your people are, we turn them into an engaged and motivated team in 3 simple steps. First, we use the BCAT survey, which they can take online, anywhere, anytime, to reveal the North Star that represents their shared pride in the work they do. Next, we work with your team's leaders and stakeholders to convert that North Star into a role target, an ideal virtual person who represents your team's best self, living its best day at work. With our internet tools, we hang your North Star high in the sky, where everyone on your team can see it, no matter where in the world they might be. Then we guide and help everyone on your team in creating personal plans to align themselves with your team's North Star. We help each of them develop the positive habits that, day by day, every day, steer them closer to your North Star, aligning themselves with your team's signature dreams and ideals. And over the long haul, we offer programs and coaching techniques that help them stick to their plans. Remote team building isn't hard. It doesn't take long. And it's just as much fun as pizzas and paintball. You build winning teams around a purpose, not a place. BCAT is the answer.
Are you a businesswoman or female entrepreneur who is transitioning into something new, moving into your second phase? Have you tried to create a brand, but you're getting frustrated? You just haven't been able to build that online presence and connect with your ideal clients? Are you frustrated because you've tried and it's just not working? Or maybe you have created a brand and you've been struggling to create all this content and get messages out there, but the clients still aren't coming. Well, I'm Robyn Graham. I'm a personal brand strategist and coach, host of the Second Phase podcast, and a headshot and branding photographer. I help female entrepreneurs just like you find absolute clarity, confidence, and connection through their brand messaging to build personal brands that stand out and make an impact. I would love to help you overcome that frustration and the stress associated with starting your business and building that personal brand that really connects with your ideal audience. Once you have clarity, you will have confidence. And once you have confidence, you'll trust yourself. But not only that, your ideal audience is going to have more confidence in you and they are going to trust you more. Once they trust you, they will hire you or they will refer you. Even better, as your community grows through connections and those relationships build, people will discover you as the expert and authority in your space. If you are ready to make an investment and really create a personal brand that stands out and makes an impact, I can help. I will work with you to create a blueprint on how to discover clarity and then create brand messaging around that so that you can have a clear, concise, consistent brand across all platforms that will ultimately connect with your ideal audience and convert that audience to clients. If you're interested in learning more about how you can work with me, you can visit my website, www.therobyngraham.com. Or you can email me at robyn@therobyngraham.com. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to assist you in building your personal brand so that you can make a difference, but not only that, so that you can feel fulfilled and feel like you're serving your audience in the way that you want to. You can work with me one-on-one for a brand assessment and a strategy session that will get you started, or you can work with me through my 6-month coaching program that guides you all the way through so that you have clients sooner than later. I look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn live here on Business Talk Radio, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am thrilled to be here today on this beautiful Friday evening. Our show is about hope, inspiration and overcoming adversity. And sometimes things don't go exactly as you would plan, right? Like my screen here. What do you do? How do you deal with it? We have to just relax and realize that things are changing, and we just go with the flow. Here to help us better understand how we can deal with our lives in terms of changing our own personal brand is an expert. Her name is Robyn Graham, and I'm thrilled to have her on the program. Robyn, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I'm really excited to share my story and hopefully help your listeners too.
And we can't wait to hear your story. I want to give out the telephone number for people to call in Business Talk Radio land. The number is 631-730-5468. Please call in so you can ask Robyn a question. Also, for those of you watching us on Facebook, please feel free to put some comments on any of the pages there, and I will read them aloud. So, Robyn, let's get started right away. I personally love the idea of a personal branding coach and somebody who's an expert in headshots, because these are both things that really can apply to everyone. How did you get started along this journey of where you are now?
Well, okay, I'm going to try to condense a very long story, but when I was a child, I loved photography. So it was something I was always passionate about. And I went to college and I actually got a doctorate in pharmacy. So I worked as a pharmacist, not a traditional pharmacist. I was always in corporate, consulting, doing medical writing, different things. And so anyway, I did that for many, many years. And when we moved to the East Coast, we ended up with 3 kids 10 years ago. And, of course, we gradually built our family. But my oldest started experiencing signs of anxiety, significant anxiety. And I am a person who my entire life has struggled with anxiety. And as we were seeing him struggle, I said to my husband, we have to tone it back. Like, we can't keep going. It's like we were 2 ships passing in the night. He was traveling. I was having to travel for symposium and conferences. And I didn't want my son to experience life the way I had experienced life. So I took a step back, and I had always done photography. And my husband said to me one day, why don't you do something with your photography? I see it light you up when you have your camera in hand. And so I started a blog in January of 2011, and that was it. Within 6 weeks, I had my first client, and she was a branding client. So at that point in time, personal branding was not even in existence, really, because we've had such a boom with entrepreneurship over the past 10 years. And so I fell in love at that moment in time. I fell totally in love with personal branding, photography. But because that wasn't really a thing and I didn't know how to market myself as that, I took every job that came my way. And it wasn't until the past maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I really realized that I didn't want to do all those other things anymore. I didn't want to work on the weekends. I wanted to focus on working with professionals because that's where my headspace was. And so I started focusing only on headshots and personal branding photography. And as I was working with my clients, I saw that so many people would say to me, oh my gosh, how did you transition from corporate to doing what you're doing? Like, how fortunate that you can follow your passion and be so happy. And I saw them struggling to identify something they could do with their lives that would get them out of the rut that they felt they were in. And then I also saw that my clients did not know how to brand themselves. They didn't know how to put themselves out there in a way that was going to connect emotionally with their ideal audience. They didn't understand the entire concept of brand messaging and using platforms to be clearer and consistent and cohesive with a message and a presence that really built an emotional connection with their audiences to then convert them to clients.
Wow, what a journey you've had. You're highly intelligent, and you had one phase of your life and now you've moved into another. And I can totally relate to that because I did the same thing. I left corporate to do what I'm doing. So what can you share with people about what they could expect from a personal brand coaching experience with you?
Well, we dive deep, and sometimes very intimidating. You really have to be vulnerable because we really dive into your values, your visions, and your passions, and we see where they align. From there, we can start to map out clarity for you. And once we map out that clarity, we can help you niche down, and then from that, we can identify who your ideal audience is. Who are those people that you want to work with? Who are the people that you can genuinely help by using those unique skills and the unique way that you can solve a problem for them? You know, what is their problem, and what is the problem that you can solve for them that no one else is going to be able to solve for them the way you can? And then from there, we look at all of your messaging. We look at the copy on your website. We look at your brand as a whole. We look at, you know, and that includes your color palette and everything to see, does that align with your message? Does it align with the feelings that you have and your passions? And then, you know, we dive into that messaging and your social media platforms and all of that to the point that you can be 100% clear that your message is right on target and it's going to reach that one person that is your ideal audience. And that's really important too. When I say one person, you know your ideal audience so well that you've named her or him. And from there, you're speaking directly to them. Because if you're trying to speak to everyone, you're speaking to no one.
I love that. There's really a lot to be said about that. And it is just one person out there that you connect with. I have to think that during COVID, this is an incredibly opportune time to look at your own personal branding, and maybe it's a great time to make some tweaks. What are you finding? Are people reaching out more because of COVID?
Yes, they absolutely are. And it's funny because so many people had a big block of time to focus on themselves and really be introspective. And so a lot of people have become authors, or, you know, have really thought deep about what path they're on and have decided to start a side business that they want to hopefully grow so that it can expand and then be their full-time role as an entrepreneur. And so I've had a lot of clients in that realm come to me this year, which has been remarkable. I mean, it makes me so happy, and to see their brands come to life and see them be able to have that confidence to put themselves out there. And the one thing that I would say everybody has in common is that they aren't clear. They don't have a clear direction as to what they want to do or how they want to get there, or how they want to connect with their ideal audience, or who that audience even is. And it takes clarity to have confidence. And once we have confidence, then we can build connection. And as we build connection, we build trust. And it's trust that actually helps people decide to buy from us or hire us if we're a service business.
Exactly. And then they don't even really care how much it's going to cost, right? It's all about, oh, I really trust you. You're an extension of me. You and I are on the same team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when you really understand someone, then they're going to trust you more, you know, and you're going to be able to connect with them on an emotional level that nobody else has been able to connect with them on. And it's really funny because so many people think, oh, they're not going to hire me. But yet there are people out there that are just waiting for you to show up and solve their problem for them. And it's funny because we really do have people out there that only we can connect with, you know, and it's interesting how that works. But there are several things that when we talk about differentiating yourself as a personal brand, there's several things you can look at and that will really help you differentiate yourself, but also build more of a connection with your audience and provide that clarity. And those things are, like I talked about a while ago, is niching down, then, you know, really identifying who your ideal audience is. What is your location? Is your location, can you work internationally? Do you work all virtually? Or do you have a shop or a standalone business in a town? And are there competitors in your town? And how can you differentiate yourself from them and what you're doing versus what they're doing? You know, for me, I'll just use the photography component of my business as an example. And there are photographers on every corner in the town I live in. There are so many, and I think so many photographers have come on the scene since the advent of digital photography. It's much easier, and they don't necessarily have to take a great picture. They can go into Photoshop or Lightroom and edit it to make it look great. So the skill sets for really great photographers have shifted some. And that's not to say there aren't a lot of great ones out there. There are, but the competition is pretty steep. So for me, I've niched down. Like, I only focus on professional headshots and personal branding photography. So for me, that's my only focus. There's no one else in my area that only focuses on those two things. Everybody else does family portraits, they do weddings. But for me, I've really niched down, despite the fact I was afraid that I wouldn't have enough clients or I wouldn't make enough money. But what that did by niching down for me, that actually made me more of an expert, or the expert in that area. And so I encourage people, no matter what field you're in, to look at it that way. Like, you may be afraid to remove some aspects of your business because you might not have enough clients or you might not connect with enough people. But the reality is, the more you show that you are an authority or an expert in your niche or your area of expertise, the more people are going to come to you because they're going to trust you more.
What are some of the factors that get in the way of someone becoming an expert?
Oh my gosh. Okay, first I want to just real quick, let's come back to that question, because I want to say the other things that you can use to differentiate. And those are quality, cost, and quality and cost, basically. And though I want you to think about cost, you can undercut yourself, but if you undercut your cost to stand out, to be different, you risk hating what you do. Because if you're not being rewarded financially for the work and time you're putting into serving other people and solving other people's problems, you're going to end up hating what you do. So I want you to think about that. The flip side of that is charging an extraordinarily high amount of money and then people being intimidated or thinking they can't afford you. But that's okay, because the higher your price is, the more people are going to see you as the expert, and they're going to seek you out and save that money to work with you. So it's kind of a catch-22. You don't come in on the market at a really high price. You mark your prices up as you go, but it is important to look at price. And then quality. Are you the best in your industry? Are you providing quality that really stands out, that every one of your clients is happy with, and they are readily going to refer you to other clients? So those are the other two things. Now, back to your question, those things that get in your way. Comparison, I call it comparisonitis, imposter syndrome. All of those things, or those two things, are the biggest obstacles that I think that entrepreneurs face. And when we approach life right now, we're in a digital era, right? And so we see so many things online. Instagram is such an incredible platform, but at the same time, it's a visual platform, so I love it. But at the same time, you see all of these influencers posting these incredible pictures, and everybody looks like their life is just so great. It's easy, it's great, and they're making all this money. Everybody's making, $10,000 a week or $20,000 a month, and it looks so easy. And the reality is, they had to work hard to get to where they are today. But because we're human, we tend to look at these people, even people that aren't influencers, but they're in the same realm that we're in. We tend to look at them and think, oh, I should be doing that. I should be doing that. Well, they do that better than me. Maybe I should stop doing that. What we have to do is we have to focus on ourselves, what our abilities are, what our values are, what our visions are, what our passions are. And those things, as long as we align our values with what we're doing, we're going to be able to be the success that we dream to be. But if we start going down that path of comparing ourselves to other people, or, thinking we're not good enough because somebody else is going to do it better, all we do is set ourselves back. So it's really having that mindset that we are an expert and an authority in our space, because as long as we believe we are, we can prove we are through the content that we put out and the work we put out. And as we do those two things, people are going to really prove our expertise and our authority for us.
So many wonderful points that I want to come back to a couple of them. And I also want to hear about your podcast. We're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors. Stay with us here on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn with my guest, Robyn Graham, live on Business Talk Radio. We'll be right back. Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
Have you just lost your job or have been laid off and you are looking to transition to a new job or career? Maybe you have even tried submitting tons of applications and yet you keep getting turned down for jobs you qualify for. Don't wait until you become overwhelmed with rejections when you can easily transition or get your dream job. Let MJW Careers guide you to the right career path and a better, brighter future. At MJW Careers, we know what hiring managers are looking for, and our goal is to land you the job you deserve. What makes MJW Careers a wonderful provider over other services is our pragmatic and scientific approach to resume writing. There are rules, there are visual cues, there are content best practices. We understand those and work within the boundaries to ensure our clients' messaging appeals to the decision makers. Our career consultants will help you transition into new roles quickly and effectively. With our experience in virtually every industry, we will provide direction in the frustrating job market by helping you write a customized, professional resume and prepare you for your interview as well. Join the great number of people we have helped scale up to greater things in their careers. Let us help you on your career journey. Come visit us, www.jobstickers.com, to learn more and grab a free resume review or ebook.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I'm the executive producer and host of the Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn programs. My programs are on RVN TV, Business Talk Radio, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. I'm also the morning host of Tuesday Morning Coffee on RVN TV. I'd like to invite you to be a guest on one of my programs as well as consider sponsorship. Your sponsorship can include a custom-made commercial designed for you by the Dr. Jacalyn team, or you can use one of your own commercials. You have the opportunity to promote your brand, your book, or even a cause that's near and dear to you. You can reach out to me at Jacalyn@drjacalyn.com or through my website, drjacalyn.com. Thank you. I'd love to have you on my team.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, live on Business Talk Radio, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. My guest today is Robyn Graham, and she is a personal branding expert. She's also a coach. She also has a podcast. I'm not sure what she's not doing, but in the segment that we just had, you mentioned a couple of keywords that stand out to me: trust and being an expert. And I'm wondering, for those out there listening and watching, thinking, wow, this has to take forever. How am I ever going to be an expert in anything? How am I going to get people to trust me? So what are your thoughts on that?
It doesn't take as long as you think if you do it right. And that's where personal branding really and truly comes in, because you can't just start a business and not put yourself out there. People need to see who you are, and they need to be able to get to know you. So when we talk about a personal brand, we're talking about presenting yourself to the world, and you're going to present yourself both visually as well as in written content. And so when we talk about visually, at a minimum, you want to have a professional headshot. And that professional headshot should be on your homepage of your website. You also should have a picture of yourself on your about page of your website, maybe even on the contact page of your website. If you have a services page on your website, you want to also show there that how you interact with people. Maybe give them some behind the scenes images of you, or at least have stock photos that are similar to what you do. And I would recommend customized stock photos. You also want to have testimonials. The more people read about what other people are saying about you, the best thing even is audio or video testimonials, where they can actually make a connection with those people that are saying great things about you. But those type of things that people are going to be able to learn more about you and discover how great you are. The other thing is being consistent. So I talk about my 5 C's of personal branding. And in order to get to that trust factor, you have to have clarity. You also have to have confidence in yourself. But you have to have clarity first. Then you have to be very cohesive. And when I talk about being cohesive, it's across all of your platforms. So from your website through your social media platforms, you're using the same look, the same appearance, the same feel across all of those platforms. And you're also being very consistent. So as you're cohesive, you're consistent. The two kind of go together. And the more you are consistent in both your content that you're putting out, those messages that you're putting out, and the more you're showing up consistently, people will trust that you're going to be there for them. You're going to give them the information that they're seeking that's going to help them and help them save time, help them save energy, solve their problems. And also, they're going to know that you're going to show up for them. You're always going to be there for them. You're kind of in their back pocket in terms of being present for them, and they begin to trust you more. And then the other thing is your content, and that content has to be clear and concise across all of your platforms. If you're putting one thing in your copy on your website, it better be the same type of thing that you're putting out on social media. And then your community. Community is key. And how do we build trust with our community? You can start with those people in your inner circle. Start telling them what you're doing. And then as they see what you're doing and they start understanding what you're doing, they're going to tell their friends about you, and your community is going to gradually grow. Then you're also going to start collaborating. Collaborate with people that are in the same space as you, or people that are in complementary spaces as you. And as you collaborate with other people, they're going to begin to trust you and know that you're an expert at what you're doing, and they're going to believe in your messages and trust what you're saying because they're seeing it firsthand. And your community is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. We can use our email marketing as one of the primary ways to do that, because the more frequently you show up in your email, the more people are going to realize what you do and how you can help them and serve them. And that email marketing is really critical because we own that email list. It's the same thing with your website. The more blog content that you put out, the more visible you're going to be from a Google search perspective. But those two platforms are things that you own. Social media could disappear at any given point in time. So you want to make sure, even if you are using Instagram as a place to blog, you make sure that you save those posts and then apply them to a blog post on your website, or save them for a future blog post on your website. Because if Instagram goes away tomorrow, what do you have? Those followers are not yours to keep. You don't even know how to access them unless they're on your email list. So those are some really key ways to grow that trust, and then keep it so that it doesn't disappear.
It's something that you just said, I think really resonated for me. As coaches, we like to help each other. Coaches are really open to meeting with one another and sharing ideas. And I think if other industries were like that, as opposed to being competitors, that there would be a lot more what you talked about, collaboration.
Right. Well, and the reality is we aren't meant to serve everyone. So that's why identifying who your ideal audience is very important. It's not just so that you're helping the right people, but it's also to prevent frustration for yourself. So if a client comes to you and you're listening to them and you're thinking, oh, this is not going to be good, this isn't going to be fun, and you can foresee that you're going to be frustrated because you're just not aligning with them. Maybe their need is not aligned with what you do, or maybe their personality isn't aligned. But if you're collaborating with others in your space, then they become referral sources for you. And maybe this person isn't right for you, but maybe they would be right for somebody else. So you're helping two people at that point. You're giving business to someone who needs the business and wants the business and can officially help this person, and you're giving this person the help that they actually need. So even if they don't hire you or you don't work with them and end up solving their problem, you've still made yourself look really good. They're going to now trust you and then refer you to someone who maybe would be in your realm of expertise.
And Robyn, how important do you find it with personal branding with clients that you meet, that people actually do what they say they're going to do? Is that an important component of being a trusted advisor or being an expert?
Do you mean when I give them a recommendation and then they apply it, or when they work with their clients?
So as an individual, if I came to you and I was working with you, you're my branding coach, and I tell you that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in order to change, improve, modify my brand, but then I don't actually follow up on it. Does that actually have an impact on me being successful?
Well, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're coming to me because you lack clarity, or you're not sure who your ideal audience is, and you're not sure what kind of content is going to resonate with your ideal audience, or what platforms you should be on to be able to connect with the right people, because as an entrepreneur, depending on where your expertise lies, then there are certain platforms where you're going to get more bang for your buck, right? Like LinkedIn could be the platform for you if you're working with professionals, corporate executives, or, even entrepreneurs. But if you're working with people that are older than millennials, Instagram may not be the platform for you. So, if you're coming to me and you're confused and you're not for sure about the direction of your business and you really need clarity, if you don't take the action that's being recommended, it's being recommended because I can see that that's going to help you, right? So if you're not taking that advice, then you're going to stay stagnant. You're not going to grow. So you may stay with the same clients you've had for a while, but you're not going to see growth the way that you could see growth if you actually created a personal brand that stood out and made an impact. So I would say that. And I would say, for me, it's that accountability component. We can have a conversation for an hour. I can do a brand assessment with you for an hour. But if you don't take that advice and then have the accountability, then, that's kind of the ball's in your court, and you have to take that initiative on your own. So I do recommend that when I work with someone one-on-one, they do follow up with at least 3 30-minute accountability sessions to make sure they have implemented everything. Because at the end of the day, I can give you all the information, but if you aren't clear on it, or you have other questions and you're just like, well, I don't want to bother her again, then you're not going to follow up. So it's really important that you have follow up, and that if you're not going to have an accountability partner, then at least hold yourself accountable. And, put it on your calendar, document what your goals are, and then make sure that you do it. Assign that time to accomplish it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. What type of package offerings do you have for potential new clients, or how can someone do business with you?
So I do, obviously for photography, that's like a different ball game, and that's just, booking a session with me. Headshot sessions are usually 45 minutes to an hour, and then a branding session can be anywhere from 2 to 5 hours. It just depends on the extent of what we're doing to build out your brand. I offer a 1-hour brand assessment that is a starting point, and like I said, you can then add on the the accountability and question Q&A sessions with that, or you can go into a 6-month coaching program with me where we really dive deep into everything related to your business and your brand. And that includes building that confidence. It includes, mindset around your brand, getting over imposter syndrome and comparisonitis and all those things as well. And then I also have a program where we take your business and we build it out for you. So I have a team of experts, videographer, a website designer, graphic designer, copywriters, and a social media manager. And so we will build out your brand from ground zero, or if you're looking to rebrand and really build connections with your ideal audience, we do that as well. So those are the ways that people can work with me.
That's really exciting. And congratulations on everything that you're doing. I want to get to your podcast. Tell us about that. How did you come up with the name, and what types of interviews are you doing on your podcast?
So I came up with the name because I'm in my second phase, and most of my clients have been in their second phase. I mean, that's my ideal audience, is that woman who is transitioning from career 1 to career 2. I've even had some who come to me and they're like, well, I'm really kind of on my 3rd or 4th, but the 2nd and 3rd really didn't stick, right? And so they're still trying to figure out what they're meant to be doing. So that's why I titled it the second phase. And so my guests have all been people that are in their second phase. So I do solo episodes where I teach more about branding, and sometimes it's on values, or I'll pick a word and just do an episode on that or a certain topic. But when I do interviews, I think everyone has been in their second phase. There may have been 1 or 2 people where they weren't in their second phase, but their message was so valuable. I knew my listeners could benefit from it, so I had them on. But I really truly believe, I think every single person, even I've had a few people in their 20s and they're in their second phase. They graduated from college, had a big corporate job, and within a year they decided, this is not for me. This isn't for me. It's not serving me. And I know I can have a bit bigger, better impact on the world. And so they transitioned out of that. And now they're coaches, or they're authors, or, whatever the case may be. So we talk about everything related to personal branding and life success. So it may be an episode on how someone has built their business, or it may be an episode on how they overcame trauma and how they used the Enneagram to overcome all these events in their life and are now coaching people on the Enneagram. So it really just depends on the episode. Every episode is different. Every episode's unique. I have a questionnaire, so I ask people, what is your question related to personal branding? And so recently I've started doing little mini coaching sessions at the end of the episode, and that's kind of fun because then people can really see inside what it would be like to work with me, but also they're learning from the questions that are being asked.
And where can we hear your podcast?
So the podcast is everywhere that you can listen to podcasts. So Apple, iTunes, it's on Spotify, Stitcher, any place you listen to podcasts. It's on my website. So when I do an interview or an episode, it doesn't matter if it's a solo episode or an interview, I create show notes that are blog posts. And so the blog posts it's just like reading an article basically. And the link to the episode is right there. You can actually listen on the podcast. And then in the show notes, I always have the guest information as well as my information. And so that's all there on the blog. It's easy. You can go right there and listen. If you don't have an Apple, if you're on Android versus an iPhone or whatever, you can listen straight from the blog.
And for our friends who are Business Talk Radio listening in, how can they get in touch with you? I'm live streaming for our Facebook friends, but what's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can access me through my website. It's probably the best way. It's www.therobyngraham.com. You can feel free to email me at robyn@therobyngraham.com. I do hang out on Instagram, and I have a Facebook group called the Brand Marketing Insider, where we do live trainings. I post tips. We do live interviews there too. So it's a great place to be to just get some inspiration and build your confidence about, conversing with other people and being online and growing your business that way. So those are the best ways to reach me.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And because it's COVID, I'm wondering, are you open to working with people regardless of where they're located through one of these platforms like Zoom?
Absolutely. So my coaching platforms are all Zoom. Now I am, well, I was, hopefully still will be. It depends on what happens in Pennsylvania. I have been shooting. I wear a mask and we stay 6 feet apart. I do most of the shoots outside. Now it's getting cold, so my photography business is probably going to get a lot slower just because I haven't felt comfortable being inside the way I feel comfortable being outside because of the virus. Obviously, my clients can't wear a mask when I'm working with them to photograph them, so that makes it a little bit challenging. I wear mine, but who knows? So from a photography perspective, as long as the government says it's okay for me to continue working, I'll continue working, and as long as the weather's decent outside. Now, right now I'm in Florida, and so the weather is great. I am still shooting in Florida when I'm here. Whether or not I'll be here very often, I don't know. It depends. This virus has left us with so many unknowns, right? But hopefully, the vaccine's around the corner, and, I will definitely take that. So as long as I'm healthy and my clients are healthy, I'm happy to work with them.
And I've seen some of your headshots. They look fantastic. So I'm thinking that I need to make a call to you and have some work done on my own personal branding.
Oh my gosh, I would love it. I would love it. That would be fabulous.
So Robyn, as we come to the conclusion of our program, what would you like to leave our viewers and our listeners with in terms of taking this time? We've got a few more months, right? We've got at least till, I don't know, February or March. So you had mentioned about getting a headshot. What other information can you leave with them to take this time to assess where they are and then change, mold, adapt their personal brand?
I am going to say that if you do not feel fulfilled in your life right now, especially your business life, take a look at your values, your visions, and your passions. Make a list. Think of a Venn diagram. Make a list of those 3 things and see where they align, because they're going to align somewhere along the way. And that's where you're going to want to put your focus, put your effort to really find clarity on the direction you want to go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Again, your website and your email address. And by the way, folks, it's ROBYNGRAHAM. Your website address and your email, please.
It's www.therobyngraham.com. And then my email address is Robyn, ROBYN, like you said, at therobyngraham.com.
Thank you so much for being a guest on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. Robyn, I will see you backstage in a couple of minutes. I really appreciate you being on the program.
Well, thank you for having me. It was really an honor, and I enjoyed the conversation.
As did I, and I learned a lot. So, and I'm sure everyone else did as well. I'll see you in a couple of seconds. And to those of you who are out there watching on Facebook, you may have noticed that my screen is pixeling, and I left it like this as opposed to during the commercial getting up and trying to figure it out, because you know what? Life isn't always pretty. Everything's not always perfect. And we just have to figure things out and make the best of it. So the focus is really on the interview itself, and our guests gave so many wonderful pointers for personal branding and just really looking at who you are, and are you living your life in the passion, the way that you really want to be fulfilled. I know for myself, I'm on my second career, Robyn's on her second career, and you can do it. The thing I would leave you with is, in order to do it, you have to be accountable to yourself. Like Robyn said, you have to have an accountability partner, and you have to be willing to endure, because there will be hardships. There will be pain. There's not going to be suffering, but there are going to be things along the way that are going to come up. And I really look at them as growth opportunities. Everything's not going to go the way you want. Like, for example, I need to figure out why this green screen is doing this. So this is an opportunity for me to look into technology and figure something out. So just remember that, and also try to laugh and be kind and compassionate and have fun. I want to make an announcement. I'm very excited. We have our Friday show here on Business Talk Radio. It's 5 o'clock on Fridays. And then we have our Wednesday at 2 p.m. show. It's a business show with my co-host Alcini. And I am now launching 2 more programs on Business Talk Radio. I just got the word right before the show. One of them is about love and dating, or dating and love. And the other is a variety show. So I'll be having a 30-minute variety show and an hour show that is for dating and love and stories that have, come to fruition in a great way, and other things that didn't work out so well. And I personally have a number of those stories I could share. So that being said, thank you again for your loyalty and for listening in on the program and for watching. We're always looking for guests to share their story and for sponsors. So stay tuned. We'll see you again in another program. And thank you to Chris, who is the head broadcast engineer at Business Talk Radio, and he brings us across the airwaves. And thank you again to my guest, Robyn Graham. Have a good night.